Got yourself a mug. Mama always said that you'd be the chosen one. She said, you're one in a million, but we're down to our last try. Cause YouTube's a comedy trash hole and you can't change my mind. We woke up this morning and all the views are gone. The media never tells you the left is always wrong. But we got that good and shine. YouTube's a comedy trash hole and you can't change my mind. You woke up this morning, you got yourself a mug. You got yourself a mug. You got yourself a mug.
Hear that? Well, did you hear that? Faintly in the distance? That's the sound of Susan Wojcicki having a heart attack. Figuratively.
For real.
Figuratively. Yes. Because, of course, we wouldn't wish it. But we're back here on YouTube. Do we have one of those little celebration things?
Back.
A little celebration?
There you go.
Oh, wow. That's so sad. Yeah. Glad to be with you. Hey, look, really quickly before we move on here, please share right now. Hit the like button. Comment. Because the YouTube algorithm has told everyone that we are dead. But we are not. We were suspended. We had 2 strikes. We streamed on Rumble for a couple of weeks, hit some record numbers there on the midterms for everyone who watched with us. If you want to see what the show is like when we are not beholden to YouTube at all, not beholden meaning we don't have to sort of, walk the minefield of guidelines on Rumble, go and check out some of those shows. You can always go check it out at Rumble. It's a live show Monday through Thursday. If you don't see us here on YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern. Just to let you know, we're just letting you know, bookmark it, go check us out, Rumble, Mug Club. Look, I'd love to hear from you here in the YouTube comment section because I know that a lot of you probably didn't watch on Rumble. Some of you did. We've always said that it's really important to reach people who haven't been reached yet. That's why we do this content on YouTube. That's why we've tried to create a hybrid system where we can do things here on YouTube. We can reach new people, which you can see to the tune of like things like Change My Mind, a lot of these sort of hidden camera videos that we do, things that go beyond the conservative sphere, the right-wing sphere. Well, I know a lot of you aren't right-wing, while also trying to be obviously authentic. And the only sort of stumbling block, I would say, or I should say the rate-limiting factor, if we stop streaming to YouTube, is if we get to the point where we have to self-censor. In other words, it's only worth reaching new people if we're doing so truthfully. And we don't know when that crossover takes place, where it's too constraining. So you let us know in the comment section if you still want to see us here on YouTube, just the clips on YouTube and live streaming somewhere else. There are probably going to be some changes here coming the new year because all of us were, we enjoyed ourselves more not being here. And Gerald was actually funny.
Yes. I also didn't get us banned from Rumble, so that's great.
I know.
Yeah.
True.
Well, partially. They did give me a phone call. By the way, we're going to have to be careful with some of the jokes that you made about the drag queen story hours and the prizes. All right. So, oh, yeah, by the way, we have a Change My Mind up on YouTube from when we were banned. That went up on Mug Club. That went up on, of course, on Rumble. It's here. It's available on YouTube. All right. Gerald A. is here with me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I took some time, so we have to move on. It doesn't matter how I'm doing. And then you know him. You love him. Fastest man on his feet. We actually still have some tickets, not many. December 3rd, Baltimore, Maryland. That's the last show of the Rebels with a Cause tour. LiveWithCrowd.com/tour. How are you, Dave?
Ahoy. Good. And you're good?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. I feel nervous again because we never know what's going to get us removed from YouTube.
No, it could be anything at any moment.
Right.
And I'm going to do my best and not be the problem.
Well, you know what's surprising? Gerald was the problem twice.
I know.
And then once was Carrie Lake.
That's true.
I have never been the problem.
Look at that.
Doesn't make any sense.
They just want you to turn on your own.
That's true.
Well, here's the you thought like we're going to ease into this. It's like a human cannonball because before we go, I need to tell you what we're getting to. Gerrymandering. We're going to be talking about that today.
Who?
Yes, we're going to be talking about gerrymandering. We're going to be talking about Trump, of course, being back on Twitter, and we have a time to close for Nancy Pelosi. But this is an issue, of course, after these elections right now. The left is trying to gaslight you into believing that Republicans, conservatives are only winning because of redistricting and gerrymandering. It's something that a lot of people have asked me to explain, so we'll take some time to do it today, but I will tell you this. Marley was dead to begin with. It benefits Democrats overwhelmingly. You need to keep in mind that Republicans won by 5 million in the popular vote. The country is, in fact, shifting right as a population. There's a silver lining there. We weren't able to talk about this on YouTube because we were suspended, banned right before the midterms.
Weird.
It's Providence. But the country is veering right. That's something that you guys need to know. There is a silver. It's not all doom and gloom. And they're trying to lie to you and say, well, the only reason that Republicans won the House at all is because of redistricting. It's the exact opposite. So all references available at ladoscredit.com. Coming out of the cannon here, everyone, because we know we're on YouTube,
Yes.
we often do a little, like, we have a clip. We like to have a laugh that we show you and we usually react to. But I've been made aware from producers beforehand that we have to be very careful because what you're about to watch is in a Brazilian, I believe it's Brazil's Got Talent, whatever the equivalent, a trans, deaf, and mute person competing. Did this person win? Can we confirm? Competing's enough.
Yeah, won a national singing competition.
After a beautiful trans, mute, deaf person, and you've seen this, but you haven't seen all of it, a beautiful rendition of, remember, we're on YouTube, Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You.
Brazilian deaf mute trans woman sings Whitney Houston. I will always love you.
Beautiful.
I don't know what to do. Is that a backup singer?
Beautiful.
My head's watering. I'm touched.
Yeah,
Yes.
they got my vote.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Nancy. Let's move on to Nancy Pelosi.
Quickly. Now.
It's not. Here's the thing. It's not. Look, it's not enough that people are like we just want to live. Now you have to win talent shows. Okay, right. Well deserved. Well earned.
Joe Louis just grabbed a handgun.
Yes.
And he's a dog. Doesn't even have opposable thumbs.
Story
So much harder when you try and hold it. It's like when you're sick and you don't get sleep, you just get worse.
Yeah. Well, there's.
I'm laughing. This is just what happens when you don't know how to deal with the overwhelming joy and support that you feel.
Yeah. You didn't sleep much either. It's
No.
The people that let the people in the crowd.
Beautiful. Oh, I thought we were on the chorus. Not?
Are we just fucking with people? I mean, pardon my language. I don't know what else to say.
Like, here's the thing. Like, even when you look at like straight white cis male, like, okay, we never assumed that. It's like, yeah, we don't demand we win a talent show. You're deaf and you're mute. At what point do you just say it's not in the cards? It's not in the cards for me. There's plenty of other things. You're not blind. You can write a book. There are a lot of things you can do with your remaining 3 senses.
I feel that I could.
You could be the world's best masseuse. You could be the new Dickens.
Yeah.
But but there's, okay, Gerald's looking at me, fine.
Well, it's true, though. There's a lot you could do.
There's a lot.
It doesn't involve, audio.
Make sure you guys watch us on Rumble.
Yes.
And how do you do the cover when you've never...
I don't.
That's a fair point.
Do you do
You can read music.
the Beethoven? You stick your ear to the...
Is that what
Or was
it
that
is?
Mozart?
I think it was Beethoven.
Yeah, Beethoven.
Maybe it was Mozart. Okay. I don't know. I pretend
All right.
like I knew. I don't know.
Nah, we have no idea.
I wanted to say it takes balls to do that, but I can't even say that in this situation. I don't even know.
Come on, I know, genuinely, I do
Yes.
respect the testicular
Of course.
fortitude to go
Yes,
up. It's
there's
like,
no Helen
what you
Feller
say.
joke
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be
no,
made.
there's not.
Nary a one.
But at least
Harry at one.
we have more people watching on Rumble right now.
Okay.
Thank God.
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay. So before we move on to gerrymandering, Nancy Pelosi, we covered last week, of course, in case you missed it. So we did this live where Nancy Pelosi announced she would step down as Democrat leader. I think we have a clip for those who missed it, but I don't know why you would have. You'd have to be living under a rock, and you should be ashamed of yourself. But here's just a brief recap.
There is no greater official honor for me than to stand on this floor and to speak for the people of San Francisco. This I will continue to do as a member of the House, speaking for the people of San Francisco, serving the great state of California, and defending our Constitution. And with great confidence in our caucus, I will not seek re-election to Democratic leadership in the next Congress.
Okay. Well, and thank God, because we do this it's a tradition here at Louder with Crowder. We, of course, recognize that Nancy Pelosi had a good run. We will miss you, and also because I need time to gather myself after the initial clip. This brings us to this week's Time to Close.
When I hear people talk about inflation, as I heard him there, we have to change that subject. What I said was any sign of progress is always good for the public when they understand what it is, and I think they understand infrastructure.
Time to close. Endings and beginnings are ending and beginning now.
Why are you shipping these immigrants up north? We need them to pick the crops. Nobody said a word. Did you even know about that trip? Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice.
I know that it's time for things to close. I know that it's time for things to close. I know that it's time for things to close. Things to close.
I'm always dignified. I thought that was a very dignified act compared to my exuberance, as I said.
All right.
Not photoshopped.
No,
real.
that's not. Look, that's not my criticism of Nancy Pelosi. That is not even. That's not even top 5 for an old lady.
She keeps rocking in the D word.
There's the little bit of a Mrs. Robinson
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, a little bit. Unless you have to talk to her, then you leave.
I'm sorry, Miss Pelosi. That's the worst thing I ever said in my life. I apologize. All right. So here's another piece of good news, by the way. And we have a Change My Mind going up tomorrow for those of you on YouTube watching right now. Donald Trump.
Wednesday. Not tomorrow, right?
Oh, sorry. That's right.
Yeah,
Tomorrow's Tuesday. Wednesday. It's tough for me to keep
You're
track of
getting
the days
ahead.
here.
It's almost Thanksgiving.
So that's true. I didn't get much sleep, but I can't still. I can't. You have to understand, I've been here since 2009 on YouTube, and I've been doing this program. Gerald, you were with me in 2014, 2015, where we talked about sort of how we were veering into the trans territory and how far it would go. Mm-hmm. And in our wildest dreams,
Never
would I have imagined that we'd be doing a program like this.
such talent.
So President Donald Trump is back on Twitter, and people like Adam Kinzinger I don't even know why he's still a thing. They're, of course, freaking out about it.
Well, look, I mean, I get that people are on all sides of this debate. The fact that he did it with a poll of which, however many % of those could have been bots that aren't real people voting in that.
Oh, now you care about that?
Secondarily, I don't know if, that decision should be made by some poll. I mean, what happened, if remember specifically when this was all done, so not only was he lighting and accelerating the fire on January 6th, also before January 6th with his conspiracies, at the end of the day, he said, this is what you get when a victory is so unceremoniously basically taken away from the American people.
Well,
so
why
not
don't you
only
cry
when it
about
was done did he have any remorse, he said, well, of course you guys had an insurrection because that's what you get when you steal an election.
Hey, by the way, nothing up my sleeves. We are live right now. Let's go to CNN, where a disgruntled fired employee of Twitter looks exactly how you would expect them to.
Coming up next, winter.
Is that a double nose ring? Come on! CNN, they're like, cut!
That used to be a job application in the trash.
Yes.
Yes, it did.
Not anymore.
That's a fired employee.
This is where we are right now. People are, hey, how do we get the straight scoop? Let's interview employees who were angry that they would have to work hard.
Yeah, the only way anybody's ever been successful in business?
Something along those lines.
Something.
I don't want to be so rigid in my thinking.
Approximating it,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, it's a general estimate. So Donald Trump, here's the thing. Donald Trump may be back on Twitter. I would suspect that he probably has some kind of exclusive deal.
Probably.
With Truth Social where he is. But who knows? Because deals are meant to be broken with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
There's always wiggle room.
And you'd think it'd be like a meeting of lawyers and, okay, what can we do? Because maybe this might be good to use, kind of like us with YouTube, to use Twitter to migrate people to Truth Social, and some lawyers would kind of have a meeting as far as the exclusivity in the contract. But what I mean more so, it's probably going to come down to, screw you, I'm doing it.
Well, as of last night, Eric had made about 90 million fake accounts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Hey, some people are willing to put in the old midnight oil.
Exactly.
So here are two of Donald Trump's final tweets before we were kicked off. I just think you should remember how awesome it was.
Well, that too, but Kinzinger is making the point, like, you basically, at the end of the day, he was doing this, and it's like, you forgot to include these tweets where he was trying to do something good, Adam.
Right.
Well, why would you do that?
Yeah, his final tweets, and I think we also have some of his best tweets. Do we have that also as well?
Yeah,
So sorry,
so.
his final tweets first were, please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. Banned. I'm asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. We are the party of law. That's what we are. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. Banned.
Hold on, time out.
Sounds like he's leading an insurrection.
Yes.
to me.
Yeah. Do you think he writes it like that and goes over characters and has to take out, we
Yes.
are?
We are the party of law and order. That's what everyone tells me, folks. I would never just say that myself. They say, wow, so much law, too much order.
You're at 300 characters.
There's
sir.
too much order, too much law. I say, no, we need it. We need it. We need it. We need more law.
You're at
We need
380.
more order. They say it's almost too much. It's up, please. We can't. There's so much
Okay.
law and order.
That's 400.
Yeah, whoever transcribes those has quite the job of the editor.
So November 18th, Elon Musk posted a Twitter poll asking whether Donald Trump should be allowed back on, which, by the way, I hope it wasn't actually determined by a poll, because it should just be determined by what's right. But I think he was trying to make a point. 51.8% yes, no 48%. Over 15 million people voted in the poll. 134 million people saw it. And Musk tweeted before the poll was, well, once it was closed, actually, people have spoken. Trump will be reinstated. Latin, which I don't want to read improperly, but it's Vox Populi Vox Dei. I prefer Sic Transit Gloria, glory fades.
That's why I got the tattoo.
It's the only one I know.
The voice of the people is the voice of God.
Lower back.
Keep in mind, the Ayatollah is still on the Twitter.
Oh, good.
Really? Yeah.
I was worried.
It's not about, here's the thing, I've said this repeatedly, it's not, and we'll talk about this with gerrymandering, we'll talk about this with redistricting. You don't live in a free country if you have laws. It's whether the laws are applied equally. And it's the same thing that applies here when we're talking about big tech. I know you'll say private business. No, not a private business when they can affect elections. Not a private business when they have private phone calls, private meetings with people in the White House, people in this administration. Not a private business when they benefit from Section 230 and they're protected from liability. It's not a private business anymore. This is a wing of the government, if not at the very least, the minimum, the digital town square. And if you have the Ayatollah, if you have if you have the Taliban on Twitter, you've got to let the guy on who was a sitting president who said back our blue and remain peaceful.
And a candidate.
Yes.
For office right now.
That's also really important, by
Yeah.
the way. He's a candidate right now. Joe Biden can have no say in what social media does with his opponent.
Right.
That's incredibly. That would be as egregious as Mussolini, as Pol Pot, as Pinochet.
Yeah.
That would be as bad as any banana republic that we mock if you had big tech deciding to do the bidding of Joe Biden against his political opponent.
Yeah.
So keep that in context. By the way, hit the like button right now if you're on YouTube. More of you are watching on Rumble than YouTube. Thank you. That's a good thing. But we also want a lot of people here on YouTube so you know how to migrate somewhere else. By the way, he was reinstated, Jordan Peterson, I believe, by Musk.
Jordan Peterson did. Yeah.
I don't know if Babylon B, James Lindsay, I don't know if they were reinstated. But, of course, Donald Trump, he was not the only conservative who had been removed. So this is good news. It's not full throttle ahead, but these are baby steps.
I think Kathy Griffin also. I have to confirm that.
Fine.
She was reinstated?
I think so.
Well, that's fine.
Well, good. We all need laughter.
It was to that point. We made that point when he banned her, basically saying this is probably 8D chess. He's going to bring her back at some point, and then they can't complain.
Right. Yeah. Well,
done.
And then everyone complained that she was back. Not that they thought she shouldn't be allowed legally. It's just
she's back.
It was the photos of her.
Yes.
Off-putting. Really.
They're like, oh no, please don't remove her. Thank God.
Yeah. Or if you're a national contest winner of a talent show in Brazil, what do you think about Kathy Griffin? Thank you.
Orca.
Yep, Gerald's right. He brought her back.
Yes.
Oh.
So the American Defense
Smash
that you would
orca
never, just to be
button.
clear, you would never make fun of someone for that. It's just, look, I think it's fair to say.
Well, no one's making.
Does that sound like I will always love you, though?
Is that the best Whitney Houston I've heard?
I don't know.
Nope.
Just imagine. We need to re-edit that if someone hasn't done that. Kevin Costner in The
Yeah.
Bodyguard pulling her across. Just and I will.
Not quite as smooth.
Boy, I'm gonna keep that joke to myself. I'll tell you guys later.
Tell us on Rumble.
Yes.
There you go.
Tell us on
Yeah.
Rumble.
that's
You
fine.
could do it with any song. You replace Elliott Smith's "Needle in the Hay" and Royal Tenenbaums when Richie Tenenbaum tries to commit suicide.
Yeah.
It's not this. I'm not saying it's worse. Nothing's better or worse. It's all shades of gray. I'm just saying it's just not the same.
Yes.
That's all. That's all I'm saying.
About as pleasing to the ears as her final bath.
American Defense League CEO Jonathan Greenblatt tweeted about Donald Trump being back on Twitter. For Elon Musk to allow Donald Trump back on Twitter, ostensibly after a brief poll,
Oh, shut up.
shows he is not remotely serious about safeguarding the platform from hate, harassment, and misinformation. And this is going to bring us, of course, later into the idea of redistricting, of gerrymandering. It's really easy to sort of say, well, yeah, hate, harassment, that's bad. Well, yeah, hate speech, that's bad. Well, yeah, hate crimes, that's bad. Who determines it? In other words, if you say, hey, gerrymandering, redistricting is ridiculous, and it has been ridiculous on both the side of the right and the left does it far more. What's the replacement? What's the alternative? In other words, you're saying, hey, we can't allow hate and harassment. Okay? You're complaining that Elon Musk made a decision to allow what you determine to be hate and harassment. How do you determine hate and harassment? Okay? You don't want districts being determined this way. How do you want it determined? Oh, by a special committee that you appoint in your states. You always have to look at the replacement because the replacement has... It's the only way throughout history that you've ended up with fascism, with communism, with socialism. It's always presented itself as a viable replacement where no one really asks the questions going through the scenario. Okay, well, hold on a second. How do we determine this? Of course, celebrity atheist Sam Harris tweeted, the prevailing opinion among, quote, free speech absolutists, the people off whom he made a lot of money, appears to be that this platform, in order to become healthy, must helplessly publish the malicious lies of any maniac at scale, regardless of the consequences. Good luck with that. Hey, I'm done with this guy. Remember, this is Harris, the same guy who said that he was fine. This was a guy, by the way, obviously a lot of you tuned in. A lot of you tuned into his debate with Jordan Peterson. Yeah. A lot of you tuned in because maybe you were people who considered yourself to be liberal, but you supported the idea of free speech. And this guy obviously capitalized. And by this guy, I mean Sam Harris. This is the same guy who said he'd be fine with Twitter censoring the Hunter Biden story.
But Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like there's nothing first of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden, right? Trump University as a story is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop, in my view, right?
Did you not see
now,
it?
that doesn't answer the people who say it's still completely unfair to not have looked at the laptop in a timely way and to have shut down the New York Post's Twitter account. Like that's just a conspiracy. That's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely it was. Absolutely. Right. But I think it was warranted.
Just look, I will tell you this. A lot of the people, even right now, who you think are on your side, they're not on your side. Look at the track record. Look at the transparency. Sam Harris, I don't use the term charlatan or grifter. Maybe he's genuine and he's just that indecisive because he's such an intellectual that we couldn't possibly comprehend. Where now someone who we thought was on our side or you thought was on your side, who supported the idea of free speech, who supported the idea of a free exchange of ideas. Here's what he'll say. I'm not a free speech absolutist, but we absolutely need to have these uncomfortable conversations. We absolutely need to be able to have these exchanges. Okay, how do you do that if you allow someone to be removed because of an opinion? Again, whose opinion? Sam Harris he's an intellectual who doesn't think this through. So the alternative is, what about Jordan Peterson? Don't you consider him a friend? Don't you consider him a friend, Sam Harris? Because it's the same standard that you're using now, saying Donald Trump shouldn't be allowed, that banned your friend. Where are you to stand up for your friend?
Yeah.
It's not so much that he's not an intellectual, it's that he's a spineless pussy.
Yeah. Do you know how many atrocities in history have been covered with those three words? It was warranted.
Right.
All of them?
That is never a good
Literally
way
all of them.
I mean, and he's supposed to be a fairly smart individual. I'm not taking that away from him, right? Very, very, very smart guy. That's really the best argument you can come up with. You've done no research to understand that that's never a good way to
He's done research. He just justifies it. Hey, look, let me ask you this. How do you come to a conclusion, and what standard do you use that allows Dr. Jordan Peterson to remain on Twitter and Donald Trump to be removed? Everyone else, you can comment below. I would love to hear Sam Harris's solution to that.
Yeah.
How? It has to be subjective. You have to give that power to a person to consolidate. And by the way, it's not lost on me that Elon Musk effectively, through executive order with a stroke of a pen, is allowing Donald Trump back on. But again, the standard that I'm using here, at least the lens through which I'm looking, is through the stroke of a pen is the person allowing more freedom. He's not making decisions that remove freedom. Sam Harris is give unto us a king. We want less freedom. I want the right person to say, Jordan Peterson, you're allowed, but Donald Trump, you're not. How does that work out in the long run? Do not be fooled by the intellectuals, by the intelligentsia, if they're not even able to give you a basic rationalization of a position that, by the way, cannot be rationalized. There is no solution. There is no answer offered that is sufficient. It has to be, well, it's because I feel this way. I ultimately think that Jordan Peterson's sins were not as egregious. Okay, that's your opinion, though. And your opinion is very often wrong, because even though you're an intellectual, you say things like this that are stupid.
He's just spinning, though. He's not really coming up with anything. That's why he's saying crazy stuff like if he had 18 dead kids in the basement or whatever, it wouldn't matter. It's like, well, no, it would, a lot.
Yeah.
I would hope it would be worse than Trump College.
Yes.
Yeah.
To anybody.
That's a very good point. The intellectual saying it wouldn't matter. Well, you know what? Every court of law begs to differ.
Yeah, that's... One's completely legal. The other one is not at all.
Yeah, the other is multiple counts of illegal activities.
Yeah. The worst kind of murder,
You
really.
would think. I mean, it's borderline. Again, it's all shades of gray, folks. It's all gray these days. By the way, just so we can refresh to your memory, thanks to Elon, here's some of the gems from Donald Trump on Twitter that are now available again for your viewing pleasure. That's something that I think people don't realize these were lost to the archives. I just wanted to bring these back.
Art. It really is.
I remember this one. Robert Pattinson should not take back Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart, they have a thing about that. It's Kristen or Kirsten. Don't really care. She's a bitch. Robert Pattinson should not take back... I always get it wrong. Should not take back Kristen Stewart. She cheated on him like a dog and will do it again. Just watch. He can do much better. Here's my favorite one, too. This is probably my favorite. He starts it with, Dickens starts with Marley was dead to begin with. Yeah. That's what we call front-loading foreshadowing. That's what Donald Trump did with this tweet, very adeptly. Mm-hmm. Pervert alert! Pervert alert, folks. Excuse me. Rep Wiener is back on Twitter. All girls under the age of 18 All girls under the age of 18, block him immediately, folks.
I never saw that one.
That might be the best tweet ever.
All girls under the age of 18.
And in that same vein, Barney Frank looked disgusting. Nipples protruding in his blue shirt before Congress. Very, very disrespectful. Like he consciously aimed his protruding blue shirt nipples at Congress.
His dibblies.
He's not wrong, though. He does just have his breasts out.
Excuse me. No, he aimed those areolas at Congress.
Oh,
Come on. You didn't look in a mirror?
Like milk duct Havana syndrome.
Is it cold in here?
Nipple laser beeps. If you are saying that you at the very least don't understand that this is going to be far more entertaining, you are a liar.
I really hope he starts tweeting again. Come on. Do it.
I hope his first tweet is something about that guy's nipples.
Yes.
I think so.
Speaking of which, it looks, what is it, Joel? I think we have some.
Well, no, we have, he had another thing about, what's his name? Alex Jones.
Well, right? He's keeping some accounts still banned, unfortunately. We'll see what happens.
Actually, though, we do have some breaking news, though. Real quick.
Oh, it looks like the, oh God, why are you guys doing this to me? Looks like the Brazilian deaf-mute sensation is addressing her victory.
Is it Quentin Tarantino?
Well, look, that interview is well-deserved. It's the champagne of victory.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, well said.
Good for you.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, let's go on to gerrymandering and redistricting. You've heard this old trope, unless is there something I'm missing there, Gerald?
Is this real?
I don't know.
Are we sure this is real?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I believe they rubbed peanut butter on her gums to get her to talk.
This is something I wanted to address, and I do have a question for you. You can comment below if you're here on YouTube, because, again, the algorithm tells everyone that we're dead, because that's what they do. They suspend you for 2 weeks. Have you heard this argument, this trope that Republicans are always gerrymandering to win elections, and, of course, Democrats don't gerrymander, and that's why redistrict, we'll use these terms, of course, interchangeably, and that's why our elections are actually not free and fair. Have you heard this? And if you haven't, well, first off, have you heard it? If you have, do you believe it? If you don't believe it, why? Have you been able to argue against it? How do you argue against it? And hopefully I will help you to be able to argue against it, because it is irrefutable. All the references are available at louderscreditor.com. In case you haven't heard this from the left, here's a clip.
They have rigged the maps in Wisconsin. It is the most gerrymandered state in the country.
Yeah, it is. And in states where the gerrymandering process has been undone so that it does not advantage either party, that is what happened in Michigan. And what happened? Democrats ran the table with ungerrymandered maps. It turns out that people in Michigan wanted Democrats to be in charge. And when asked to do so in a fair process, a transparent, nonpartisan process, that was the result. That is what Republicans are so afraid of when it comes to giving up on gerrymandering.
I don't think a democracy can long thrive or maybe even survive if over a sustained period of time it is governed by a minority of its citizens. And through the gerrymander, the House is often controlled by a minority of Americans.
Okay, so in order for you to not have to do so, I have actually been signed up for Adam Schiff's mailing list.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, my goodness.
Is that what started this?
That's what started this. So as far as the overlay, it's kind of tough because it was an email as opposed to a link on a website. So he's been sending out emails.
Tasteful nudes?
Yes. He's been sending them out. Just this is a lesson for you with the cloud. He's been sending out these emails asking people to sign a petition now to end the filibuster. Why? So that Democrats can pass voting legislation. And of course, the main crux of his argument is that Republicans effectively stole the election through quote-unquote illegal gerrymandering. And if anyone else out there has signed up for Adam Schiff's mailing list, let me know if you had received this. I just can't tell you how much crap goes to it. I have a separate email set up so I can it's what I call my crap inbox, so I just go check it every day. I sign up for every single leftist newsletter. It used to be the Fight for 15. You have Adam Schiff, you have Pelosi.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Well, just so I know what it is that they're saying, and it's why I'm so exhausted. I feel like Scrooge, who saw hell on earth when Marley showed back up. A lot of Dickens references today because I've been reading it. So Democrats suggest the solution is independent councils, right, be formed to draw these districts. Okay, so this again, what's the replacement? Who appoints the council? Well, we'll get into what happened in New York and how it was worse than any other example that you can find, I would argue, across the country in relation to redistricting. So this brings us to some of the claims versus the truths that are made in this email, Adam Schiff. So here's the first claim that's consistently made: that Republicans gerrymandered their way to a House majority and that Democrats overperformed to keep it close. Here's a quote from Adam Schiff. He wrote, this is in the email: GOP legislatures spent the last 2 years since the 2020 census eliminating Democratic districts with illegal maps and defying court orders to redraw them leading up to the 2022 election. Their gerrymanders were their only saving grace from a historic Republican flop on November 8th. Okay, couple of things. Again, remember, I think it's by 5 million or so, the popular vote.
Yeah.
Is that what
Republicans won by
Republicans
over 5 million.
Over 5 million.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the final count was. I know it's over 5 million. So keep that in mind, because this is important to note. When they talk about Hillary Clinton winning the popular vote, for example, against Donald Trump, well, we have the Electoral College for a very specific reason, so that it's not, of course, our elections, national elections, aren't affected disproportionately by New York and Los Angeles, right? That's why we have the Electoral College, so that the small counties, the smaller states, that their vote still matters and they're not drowned out. However, when you're talking about midterms, right, which largely we're talking about the House elections, of course, this should be closer to being in line with the popular vote, which was for a midterm still really significant. Why? Because it's not a national election. People should at the very least have their local representative in their district be most representative of their locale. I know, I'm being rigid.
But
So
by 5 million is only enough to get you one additional House seat than you need,
right?
And not enough Senate seats.
3.5 million.
3.5 million is the final
down.
count? Okay, 3.5 million.
Sorry.
Okay.
Missed it by that much. Admonish Gerald.
Yes. Do it.
Nope.
Do it
Hit
now.
it. Hit it.
Hit
Do
him.
it. Come on. I'm here. Admonish me.
Admonish.
Okay. So again, that's the claim that it's because of illegal gerrymandering. Okay, here's the truth. Here's the truth. Democrats actually gained significantly from redistricting efforts in 2022, along with gains that they've made historically. It historically has benefited Democrats disproportionately. According to Cook's political, and by the way, this is Cook political. It's nonpartisan, which means probably slightly leaning left. Their redistricting scorecard. This was released in April 2022. You have this reference available on the website. Our latest scorecard projects a Democratic net gain of between 0 and 1 seat from redistricting alone. Virtually no partisan shift from the current maps. And according to Vox, Democrats wiped out 12 Republican districts by gerrymandering. This is according to Vox. And they really don't want to make that claim.
Were they gloating?
They're torn between gloating and their false premises of, Republicans only benefit because of gerrymandering. It depends on the day. So,
and that's 3.5 million per?
No, 3.5 million total is how Republicans, they won the popular vote.
Okay.
And now, according to Vox Democrats, you had according to Vox, you had Democrats wipe out 12 Republican districts through gerrymandering, redistricting.
So at best, it's 0 to 1, right? So virtually unchanged. At best.
At best.
And then at worst, it's 12. So none of that is Republicans taking over because they gerrymandered, which is the whole crux of this email, is that we did this and that's how we won all these seats.
And again, this is all of these arguments that we'll go through. These are designed to get you frustrated, get you confused, get you overwhelmed. So you say, just let them appoint a special counsel. That sounds better than what we have. And boom, now they've got you. And they've got it forever.
Yeah.
So this brings us to another claim that they've made, that Adam Schiff, at least, he also made, that very few House Democrats lost their reelections and that Republican gains were entirely mostly because of gerrymandered districts, right? So that would seem like it's significant if that was true.
If true.
Yeah, well, look, hey, Democrats, very few lost their reelections, and the only reason Republicans won. Here's the beauty of it. You can observe that. You can actually fact check it.
You can measure that.
No idea where WAPO is or PolitiFact.
No.
Or Reuters.
Can't determine.
They must be busy editing out a Palestinian saber on a flotilla, Reuters. So we can't be bothered to fact check this here. Here's the truth. 6 Democrat incumbents lost re-election. 6. So let me compare that again. It's very few House Democrats actually lost their re-elections. This is what you're dealing with Adam Schiff. He's sending this out to raise money and to end the filibuster. Another big power grab. Very few Democrats actually lost their re-elections. 6 lost re-elections. Only 3 Republicans lost re-elections.
One of them doesn't really count, though.
One of them was Myra Flores, thanks to redistricting.
Oh, so it went the other way on this one.
Yeah, so they redistricted the first Mexican-born Mexican-American representative out. Yeah.
They're the party of inclusivity.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Well, until they don't need it.
Right.
Until you don't share their opinion, basically.
Yes.
That seat will be replaced by very soon.
By the way, just can I say this really quickly? All of this is enough to piss you off, but just remember the premise. We have to get rid of the filibuster.
Yes.
So that we can fix this problem. What that means is we want to pack the Supreme Court. We want to just basically do whatever we want to do because we didn't have an election result that gave us unfettered power.
Exactly.
So this will.
It did give you unfetterment power.
Oh, my.
Yes.
Don't
filibuster, gerrymandering. I can't wait to see this picture.
Yes. So yeah, exactly. Oh, let's pack the court. Let's get rid of the filibuster. Now you've gotten rid of 2 checks and balances, and it's all based on the idea that we don't have any checks and balances against Republicans redistricting. By the way, can you redistrict that for any Democrat who wants it, please? I don't want it, okay? Here's another truth. According to an analysis done by The Atlantic, the Atlantic, just so you know, tends to lean very left if you've read them for a consistent amount of time.
I have.
Their analysis was that this election was more fair and competitive than the past. This is what they wrote. The 2022 election appears to be headed towards the simplest measure of partisan fairness. The party that gets more votes will also get more seats. That's what they thought.
They were only wrong by 3.5 million.
Yes. The sniff test would tell you that in midterms, which has to do largely with local elections, that the most popular party would get the most amount of seats and that they would sort of be congruent. No.
Whoopsies.
They also wrote, despite conventional wisdom to the contrary, the number of competitive congressional districts has increased since 2012. Again, the point here is that the midterm popular vote should more accurately reflect the will of the country. 3.5 million votes, a couple of seats.
Bastard.
Wow.
So we have obviously more to get to here on all of this.
What is that?
What's going on up there?
What's the music?
I know that song.
I think we should check it out.
Good Rancher.
Here you go, Dandelion and Mordecai. All right. If you eat all your seed, I'll sing you your song. Oh, boy. Eat all your seed. That's why I put the xylophone here. Eat all your seed. I love chickens. Eat all your seed. Cluck, cluck, cluck.
Bad Rancher.
Where are my eggs? Don't look at me like that. I told you. I want my eggs! You're gonna get it.
Go with the Good Ranchers. 100% American sourced steakhouse quality meat. Subscribe today at goodranchers.com/Crowder and lock in your $25 off every box for the entire life of your subscription. Good Ranchers. American meat delivered.
All right, go to goodranchers.com/Crowder. Just so you know, I use Good Ranchers. That's the thing. I use
lot.
them. And also, so does Benil Dariush, the fighter. I think I think they ended up getting set up with a sponsorship. There's a big Black Friday offer if you enter in the promo code Crowder. Look, go there if you want to actually get American meat. Okay, there you go. Do I have a? Here's a. Oh.
You got a box.
And
what's in the box?
Here's a box. Yeah, what's in the box? Hey, you know what's in the box? Nothing, because the rest of them out there ate it. Okay.
Well, it's delightful.
I'm not sorry.
Yes.
No, you shouldn't be.
But you're fired.
Back to gerrymandering and
Back to your
redistricting.
Fu Manchu. Let's talk about that.
Here's another claim that they make on the left. Okay, this is a claim that you'll hear a lot, that Republicans are the only party that gerrymander. Here's the truth, and I want to show you a little bit of a bait and switch. Okay, the truth is that Democrats invented gerrymandering.
Wow, usually that doesn't actually apply to being real.
The term gerrymandering came after, it was named after the Jeffersonian Republicans created this sort of like weird serpent-shaped district in Massachusetts. And by the way, I know this is the thing. You're going to hear like, oh, Jeffersonian Republicans.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a direct, right? This was directly linked to the Democratic Party, just to be clear. The Jeffersonian Republicans, they are Democrats. You hear Republicans, so you go, oh, Republicans. No, the Jeffersonian Republicans are Democrats. And by the way, it exploded as Southern Democrats redrew the lines to benefit white voters. That is true. So when people say gerrymandering sometimes is racist, well, it's true. Back when the Democrats were allowed to be racist more overtly.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh.
I can't believe that their sole argument is, hey, we invented that.
Yes.
You can't
That's
steal
our
our
thing. Come on.
No, but now they try and say, it's because of you, even though the left invented it, and they're still doing it. So that brings us to truth number 2. Democrats still gerrymander all the time. Yeah. Again, let's go to just this cycle. 18 state legislatures. 18 state legislatures were gerrymandered, redistricted, manipulated by the left. You know what? Let's use Adam Schiff's language. Stolen, okay? That's what he says in his email.
Yeah.
In order to try and push the filibuster, where are we with election deniers? He basically tried to say that this was stolen for a very, very slim victory that doesn't make sense to anyone who can basically add 2 + 2.
Well, no, so that's the illegal gerrymandering, and so the Democrats do the legal gerrymandering.
Oh, is it the same thing, though?
Well, yes.
Okay.
It just depends on who's in your court system.
This is what they do. It's the same thing with campaign finance reform. When they're talking about what they really mean is we just want to be able to take big donations. What they really mean is we should be the only ones who are allowed to redistrict. So again, I just gave you that number, 18. Let me give you some specifics. Let's look at New Mexico. Redistricting in New Mexico turned Republican, by the way. A Republican, Yvette Harrell's, this was, just to give you an idea, some numbers here to get a little nerdy. There was an R plus 14, right? This is how they were sort of analyzing the election, and this is what we expect. To Democrat plus 4. You'll see these numbers on 538.
Yeah, and then she lost her seat by 0.6 points.
The Republican did.
Right, she lost her seat. So it was a heavy Republican district that they moved to Democrat.
They changed it, redistricted, plus 14 to minus 4, effectively, to the Democrat, and then lost by 0.6 points. Which also should tell you that they underperformed with the Democrats that they expected to perform with.
They can't even steal it right.
They can't even steal it right. It's like a hamburglar taking fucking fries.
Yeah, you're like, you can have one.
There's no need to do that.
Yeah, you can just
change
go ahead. You can have it.
In February, by the way, New Mexico State House Speaker Brian Egolf blocked the efforts to appoint an independent redistricting committee.
I wonder
just to be
why.
clear. Yeah, at that point,
That's
this is what happens. Let's look at Illinois. Illinois, they redrew lines. Again, Democrats to take 5 Republican seats and just smash them into 3 districts. So what did that mean? That 2 Republican seats were completely eliminated. So now Democrats control 14 out of the 17 seats in Illinois, which, by the way, has still largely been Democrat controlled. Works like a charm in Illinois. More of that.
So they got 82% of the seats out of that, but only 60% of the vote to get it. So
that's right.
Again, we look at vote totals not matching what's actually happening with control.
Right.
But that's what elections are supposed to do. They're supposed to make sure that control is given to the party that has the most votes.
Right.
Weren't you guys really up in arms about this when Hillary Clinton won the popular vote and lost the election?
Where it actually makes sense in a national election.
Yeah.
As opposed to your local representative. Representative.
We need to be able to mess with that, but not. No.
Yeah, exactly. You would think your local representative would be determined by people who vote locally. Silly goose.
Yeah, that's not right.
Silly voter. Illegal Democrat tactics are just for us. So I saw, by the way, a Trix commercial where that rabbit actually went to a convenience store and bought Trix, and they mugged him.
Well, then they're not for kids. He paid for them.
Yes,
rightfully
exactly.
So.
No, they're just for children. Like, do you understand the voluntary exchange of monies for goods and services? You can't beat up the rabbit and take his shit.
Look, he got tired of getting beaten up for trying to take tricks from kids, so he got a job.
Yes.
Now he's applying himself. You're still going to beat him up? This is why we're failing as a country.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. Kids are selfish. Taking his tricks, they're after his Lucky Charms. They never stop.
Yeah, they do. When did the kid buy cereal?
Yeah.
Bet never.
Yeah, how about you go out and earn your Lucky Charms, you little prick?
Pretty sure your mom bought it.
Yeah. What did you do to deserve it?
Yeah, nothing.
And by the way, don't think it's lost on us that you're picking on the only person who's smaller than you to take his Lucky Charms.
Yeah, you're hurting a rabbit. Good for you.
Well, and again, the midget.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
So here's how 538 described the Illinois gerrymander effect. One of our greatest presidents, Abraham Lincoln, was a Republican from Illinois, but the state's new gerrymandered congressional map seems hell-bent on making Republican congressmen from Illinois an endangered species. That's good writing there.
Someone would say that's by design.
Yeah, someone would say that's by design. 60% of the vote, but 82% of the representation. Hey, by the way, Republicans in Illinois, leave.
Now.
Leave. Here's the thing. A lot of people say, should we stand and fight? Should we stay in these states? No, at this point, these states need to see the rapid population decline. because it's not going to be changed by the will of the people. It's not. You can't change it. Your vote doesn't matter in Illinois, just to be clear. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't care how many farms you run, how much corn you grow. You are determined by Chicago and its carp mayor. Let's elect something that was pulled out by Jeremy Wade and River Monsters. We want that person to lead us. Okay.
Oh, the ghoulie?
Yes. Hit the like button, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, again, because the algorithm says that we're dead. Let's look at, this is one that really gets stuck in your craw. Oh, yeah. New York. Mm-hmm. So New York, we can look at their redistricting efforts in New York. Well, some of them were, wasn't it?
Well, so Adam Schiff, I want to go back to him. Illegal gerrymandering. Well, it's funny you should use that word because in New York, you guys put forward your, redistricting map, your gerrymandering, and it was struck down by the New York Supreme Court for, quote, partisan gerrymandering.
Hey, for reference, what's the most important court in the state of New York?
I think it's the Supreme Court.
The basketball courts? That's where I get my dunks.
That's true.
Well, yes, absolutely. So it was originally proposed by the independent counsel, the thing that we've warned you about in the past here, and approved by the Democratic legislature. So, okay, it's going through this proper process. It should be fair, right? So after the 2020 elections, Dem controlled 19 districts, Republicans 8, right? Okay, there you go. After the illegal map was put in place, but thrown out by the Supreme Court, thank God.
That's really important to note. This is the map they suggested.
Yes.
So they already had a 19-8, right? 19-8. That wasn't enough. Like, we need more than this. Why? Because our local elections really, really matter. Understand that and be familiar with your local officials. Yeah. Be familiar with your local representatives. So 19-8, they couldn't leave well enough alone.
No.
New York Democrats proposed a map that had to be thrown out by what I'm guessing is a very, very liberal New York State Supreme Court. They were proposing a map that would have had them 22-4.
22-4.
But it was thrown out.
Thank God.
And so then we had the 2022 election. And New York, right, what we think of as the most blue state, what was the actual number?
15-11 Democrats.
15-11 in New York.
In New York.
New York State.
Yeah.
Think about that. Think about that. Why do you think the left wants you in big cities? Why do you think they want you to be dependent on public transportation? Why do you think they want you dependent on universal income? What? Because if you're going to look at the districts, it's really just a handful of districts in big cities. The educated voter who creates cities like New York City, cities like San Francisco, cities like Los Angeles, people like Sam Harris.
Yeah.
The educated voter. You get an entire city of Sam Harrises, and then everywhere else votes Republican. It's not the ultra wealthy. The ultra wealthy, of course, they support leftist after leftist after leftist, except for Elon Musk, who I just love the idea that the richest man in the world is basically a 4chan autist.
Yes.
There's one exception.
Yeah, and they still buy his cars, though. They have no problem with that.
They do, yes.
They're like, I can't stand that guy. Make sure you get me one, though.
Yeah.
They just, looking at their Tesla, which they promoted and they subsidized for years.
Yes.
I wonder how AOC just probably every day gets out into her heated garage, just looks at it and goes,
I'm still going to drive it.
He's smart enough. He should have something where he just starts laughing when you start the car.
Yes.
Just appears on the screen.
I forgot to say the magic word.
Just shuts it off.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Starts speeding up into a concrete median.
No.
This is where I'm supposed to go.
Hope you got an airbag.
Yes. Here's also Maryland is another example.
Close.
Maryland, name that movie line. Gerald got one. They're aggressive from the Democrat. Their partisan gerrymandering attempts. Also struck down, again, by a Maryland
Illegal
judge.
again?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
They tried to create 7 more Democratic safe districts.
Yeah, and they wanted to get rid of the only Republican safe district and turn it into a likely Democrat district.
Yes, exactly.
Just take your win. Come on, Maryland. Is it
just like power only wants more power,
Yeah.
progress can only get more progress to the point where you're progressing into oblivion. That's what the party of the left is. That's how you end up from like gay marriage, okay, to right. That's how. And I get that it's Brazil, but if you think that it's not going to happen here, watch. I give it 6 months.
Oh, it's Brazil. It's had to have already happened here in some form.
In some form
or
another.
That allowed them to go. This is what we should do.
But it starts that way. It starts with, okay, all right, same-sex marriage, okay, sharing property rights. We understand that. Okay, we're on board with it too. Wait, we have that. What do? Men can be women, women can be men. Then, okay, you have that. What can we do? Woman of the year has to be a man. Okay, you have that. What do? Children should be able to transition. Okay, we have that. What do? We should be able to take children away from their parents if they don't transition. That's what happens. Progress for progress' sake. Same thing with power. It's like, oh, okay, look, you've already got a lead. We need more of a lead.
Yeah.
Okay, look, you already have the ability. You already have all of big tech. What do you need? We need to enshrine it into law that it's basically beholden to our whims, and we can remove whoever we want so that we can keep our political opponents off of the platforms. This is what has to happen.
Yeah.
And by the way, before you say both sides do it, not the side here in this room. I don't give a shit if you have an R or a D next to your name. I want as much decentralized power as possible.
You already have both houses of Congress and the presidency. What do? We got to get rid of the filibuster so we don't have to compromise.
And then add seats to the courts.
Yes, because we don't like their rulings because the court, no.
And then we need to create a law that doesn't allow our political opponents to be on social media.
That's very true as well, and also strips them of their funding, but lets George Soros give us as much money as he wants.
Yeah, well,
and that Bitcoin guy, but he's gone now. So
how would you do
FXT?
it? What are you suggesting? An alternative?
No.
Does that make sense to anybody else?
Yeah. Let's look at Colorado. Under the newly drawn lines, again, Democrats won a dramatically outsized proportion of the state seats. So what did they win? They won 53% of the total votes.
Okay.
71% of the seats.
Jeez.
53% of the votes, 71% of the seats. Republicans won 47% of the vote, only 29% of the seats. Look, do that math. 53 to 47, that's a swing state.
Yeah.
71% to 29 is not.
That's not even California.
No.
71-29. Not on their best day.
But this is important for you to note because it's all doom and gloom on the right. Adam Schiff sends out this email, and then you have Conservative Inc., who they send out their emails and say, oh, look, no. Here is, it's not doom and gloom as far as where the country is going. It is doom and gloom as far as the leadership of the Republican Party and the conservative movement, by the way, in a lot of facets. Because 53-47, and you all believe that Colorado is an entirely blue state. And electorally, it is. As far as the people, it's not.
Right.
That tells you it's a failure on the part of leadership. Your leaders are supposed to protect your vote. They're supposed to protect your voice, not drown it out with largely Democratic. I don't want to say Democrat gerrymandering. There's nothing democratic about it. 53-47 is the vote. 71-29, the seats. All references available at louderwithcrowder.com. There needs to be a change in Republican leadership. There needs to be a change across the board politically. They say the state of our democracy is on the ballot.
Yes.
Okay, so if we're just talking 53-47, okay. No. We want 71% of the seats. Why? Well, because without the 71% as opposed to the actual representation of the vote, democracy will fall in darkness.
Yeah. Aren't you worried, though, that people will actually look at your gerrymandering and say you can't do that? But no. Well, how? We'll just blame the other guys for it.
Well, that would unfortunately, that's predicated on people looking at it.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Not just getting the email and going, wow, well, that sounds terrible. CNN will probably run with the email, by the way. I guarantee you stories will be out about gerrymandering.
The corruption only adds up if you add it up.
That's true. If you take out the add up, it's fine.
If you don't do the math, then there is no math.
Well, you don't have
if you
to
don't
be a
look
math
into
Asian
it
to do it.
There's nothing
either.
to look into.
Yeah.
So, normal people can do this math.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to.
Oh, okay.
Why would they do that?
Yeah, could you just turn the other cheek?
Right.
And by that, I mean turn around and bring it up.
No.
Here's another claim that you'll hear from the left. Again, this goal is right now, what they want to do is gerrymander to the point where they have enough control and then, boom, shut the door behind them. Kind of like the Sarah Silvermans, kind of like the Amy Schumers, kind of like the shock comics of the world who now want to say that you shouldn't be allowed to say something's gay in your act, lest you be of course, blacklisted and not booked, right? They want to make it to the next floor and then blow up the stairs behind them. You see it in the industry, and you certainly see it in politics. They want to gerrymander until they get enough control and then solidify it, make it set in stone. They want to pack. You don't think they'll do this with the courts? Add the seats, and then let's codify that you can't add any more seats. So their claim here is that Republican gerrymandering, the attempts are racist. And this is, again, I was reading this email. I had an aneurysm. So Schiff, and I'm reading this email, so I get that it's hard. I have the images for you and the text on louderwithcrowder.com because I can't really give you a link because it's sent out in an email, which is kind of clever. And by the way, the email self-destructs.
It does.
It does.
It burns your computer.
It just makes you want to delete it.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yes. It's a hypnosis, really.
Yeah,
I should have used the correct term.
Right when you see it, it's like you almost don't want to open it.
So in the email, Schiff accused Ron DeSantis of trying to eliminate the seats of, quote, 2 black lawmakers. Okay, that's the claim. Here's the truth. DeSantis actually vetoed, by the way, the Florida Republican-controlled legislature. They originally proposed a congressional map. he vetoed it, saying specifically that it was designed to sort of disenfranchise black voters. That's what Ron DeSantis vetoed it.
That's the opposite of racism.
Yes,
based on what I'm hearing.
Yes, and also received a record number of minority votes, especially Latinos.
Weird.
Do you notice too in these emails they say, Ron DeSantis black, because usually they would try Donald Trump Hispanic. Notice they didn't say Donald Trump black. They say Donald Trump Hispanic. Why? Because of Build the Wall.
Right.
Ron DeSantis black. Well, what happened to Hispanic? Oh, he won a majority of the vote across the board. Donald Trump made record gains with black people. They pick one group that may not favor you for a multitude of reasons to say it must be due to racism. So with DeSantis, they know that the dog won't hunt as far as saying Hispanic, as far as saying Latinx, if you're a total self-important prick. So they say DeSantis black.
Yeah, and they have to come after Ron DeSantis with this. There is no doubt in my mind the reason that he is there is not just because he's a political front runner for president along with Donald Trump, right? It's because his state laid the blueprint down for every other state to make sure that you had representation in these elections. And I'm not just saying that because Republicans won. I'm saying that because people's voices were heard.
Right.
For some reason, we thought that Miami-Dade County was forever going to Dems.
Yeah, let me right now bring up CNN because this is just so you can see this happening in real time. They're saying lawmakers prepare for gridlock because Republicans didn't win their rightful seats. It's now they're going to give us gridlock when they should have won 15 to 25 more. Let's see what they say.
Kinzinger's take on all this.
Oh, good, Adams.
Oh, Adam Kinzinger again.
He has cut so many deals
eyes.
with bad people to get to this position that I think he's not going to be a leader at all. I think he'll be completely hostage to kind of the extreme wings of the Republican Party. And I frankly don't think he's going to last very long.
Do you mean like your whole state is held hostage, by the way, you Republican representative in Illinois who went along with this?
Not really Republican.
I hate to use the term controlled opposition. That is Kinzinger.
Oh, for sure.
See, Melanie, thank you. So now to a strange case, I guess.
So in other words, they try and redistrict so they get record wins that are not representative of the votes. They don't get it, and Republicans make some gains, not as many gains as they absolutely should have made. That's why the math didn't make sense. And now they go, here we go, gridlock.
Good. I'm fine with gridlock. If it stops Joe Biden from running the country off the rails, which he's been doing a very bang-up job of for a little while now, almost 2 years, I'm fine with a little bit of gridlock until we can get some competent people in the White House.
Hey,
it's fine.
Doesn't gridlock mean something democracy? I thought you said democracy was on the ballot. But more people wanted gridlock than actually had the representatives elected. Yes. They want gridlock. They want to stop the bullshit that you've been pushing. Yeah. Why? Gas prices, inflation, when you're looking at what's happening with Ukraine, when you're looking at what's happening culturally, the decay of the American work. Right? They want gridlock. Now you bitch about gridlock. What does that mean? If they say gridlock is a real problem, they don't want gridlock. Okay. What would happen if there's no gridlock? What they're really talking about is the last remaining safeguard against this administration's agenda. Get rid of the gridlock so we can ram it all through. It's always about more power being taken from you and given to them.
Yeah, it's just power and control. That's all it is.
What, you want to stop it with your local representatives?
No. Good luck.
Yes, that's what we voted
people
for.
That are supposed to accurately represent the voice of the citizens more so than any other body?
So yeah, that's what we voted for. Oh yeah, check the scorecard. Well, yeah, that's what we put. Shit, they changed the scorecard.
They rezoned everything.
Ugh. Oh, no, wait. Sorry. You said it's because Republicans are racist here.
Oh,
I see.
Ridiculous.
Never mind.
That's fair.
Gerrymandering.
And by the way, DeSantis noted that it was unconstitutional as far as the nature of the district. So not only did he veto it, saying that it would affect black voters negatively, contrary to what Schiff says. Again, also we get rid of the filibuster, which is even more severe than the gridlock. They want no more filibuster. They want no more gridlock. They want complete and total unfettered power, to be clear. DeSantis also said this is unconstitutional. He said we have a responsibility to produce maps for our citizens that do not contain unconstitutional racial gerrymanders. And by the way, in 2022, 3 black Republicans beat white Democrats in majority white districts.
There you go. That seems like the opposite of racism. I said that before. DeSantis, painting him as a racist with results like that, it's like, how do you even make the argument with a straight face?
Isn't that the go-to, though?
It is.
That's all they can do.
It is. And people don't check into it, and they, of course, assume, well, Ron DeSantis, and he's like Trump, and so therefore he must be bad and racist like Trump, even though Trump was never proven to be racist in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. More of the black vote went to him, but that's neither here nor there.
And this only works. If they have a stranglehold on media.
Yes.
And by the way, big tech. This is what happened. They were traditional media, right? The election that we streamed in 2016, that was a referendum on legacy media. They lost. So then they made sure that we could not stream the midterms and that was another referendum, and they lost. Our street not only beat CNN, it beat Fox News. It beat everyone, and we weren't even on YouTube. That's why they're saying now we need to control YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. They're having a conniption fit.
Yeah.
Over Elon Musk. It only works if you can use the media to gaslight people. In other words, why are Republicans racist? Because the media and big tech says they're racist. There's no basis for it.
Right. Well, they'll throttle and block those they can, right? So they'll throttle the show, they'll block this show. If they can't do that to you, Fox, they'll basically just say, well, everything Fox says is lying, racial hatred. They're the reason for all the division in the country. And then you're left with, okay, well, where's the safe corner to go to? Oh, it's legacy media. We're the ones that are telling you the truth. Except it's only one side of the story, and we never bring anybody else on that has a differing opinion that can articulate it.
And so people start with, oh, yeah, I guess Republicans must have been the party that wanted slavery. Why? Because the media has told you. Oh, yeah, Hitler must have been right-wing. Why? Because you've never heard that it had socialist in the name, and every single policy was, of course, radically socialist. That's one thing people try. They think they'll put you on your heels like, you're saying Hitler was a liberal? I'm saying Hitler was a leftist. Yeah, of course. Of course I am. Of course I am. Yeah. The only argument that you have is that, well, he was racist. And the only reason someone would say, well, I'd put that on the right-wing side of the ledger is because you say that right-wingers are racist. I say I put on the leftist side of the ledger Hitler, when you look at his centralized government planning, when you look at disarming people, when you look at his I say, well, also the socialism, because it's in the name.
Well, I tend to put the party that has the longest filibuster in history protesting voting rights.
Yes.
Maybe that's the party of racism. Democrats.
Yes. By the way, that's number 1 and number 3.
And number 3. Oh, they have 2 in the
both against. Yeah, both Democrats, both against the Civil Rights.
Oh, Civil Rights Act.
And by the way, while we're talking about Florida, just take a look here at the map. The new map makes sense compared to the old one. This is overlay F3.
You see that little Tallahassee? That's a 200-mile stretch just to touch black cities together and have a black controlled voting area.
Yeah.
Which is not right. You don't go, where are the white people at? And put them in a circle. And where are the black people at? And put them in a circle. That's not how this should work.
It does for Democrats. Well, and also, by the way, some awful Republicans who didn't have the faith to stand on their policies in Florida, which, by the way, resulted in more black representatives in that state, in white districts. Hey, if it's the party of racism, let's walk through this. Republicans are the party of racism. Okay. As Adam Schiff tries to put in his email. DeSantis is racist. Okay, let's walk through it. DeSantis said, no, we're not going to allow this redistricting. This is how the district should be. Okay, so a Republican decided that it was unconstitutional to redistrict in a certain way that disenfranchised black voters. Okay, then with these new districts, there were more black representatives in white Republican districts that elected them. Every single step of the way, the left is taking an L on the racism argument.
But they're still racists. Republicans are definitely
How is Adam Schiff allowed to call anything racist on behalf of any race?
It's a good point.
It's the whitest looking human being I've ever seen.
Yes.
He does.
It's they could do a remake of Powder.
Yes, they could.
Looks like the Penguin.
Let me talk. He's shifty. That's why his name is Schiff.
That's a good point.
I'll say it.
Yep.
It wasn't a joke. He's just a creep.
Yep. And everything that he touches politically becomes Ausshift.
That's right.
Turns to shift.
He's the Ausschiff.
Does turn to shift
of political candidates. I'm not proud of it.
Hang.
And by the way, all of this, we're going to talk about this on Mug Club. This isn't even taking into account the incredible violation from the census that they're using to try and... So they're trying to redistrict this, and the census, it fundamentally changed to no longer only include citizens.
Why would you want to do that?
So that's a good question. You know what? We'll tease that because we'll talk about it on Mug Club.
Yeah,
because there's some issues there that I don't think we can talk about here on YouTube.
Yeah, you don't want to get pulled off for truthins.
No.
Again.
No.
Or as Schiff calls them, me-ins.
Yes.
Like, that's a little me. What do you mean? Truth. Oh, you're self-important.
He's a cartoon.
Yes, he is.
I believe he's just a cartoon walking among us.
Hey, Tricks kids, beat him up.
Yeah, no kidding. He doesn't deserve your tricks.
Silly Schiff. J-Mandarings for kids. Now, let me just recap this for you.
Hit me.
It was the cartoon that we asked to do that, by the way.
Cartoon, the
cartoon. The tricks, yes, we don't... Ugh. You do what you want.
Thanks, YouTube.
Are on YouTube.
I keep forgetting. It was a fun 2 weeks.
Yes, but you didn't have to walk on eggshells around censors of a wonderful YouTube. Yeah.
We didn't have to worry about sicking cartoons on real people.
Yes, exactly. We didn't have to worry
Yes.
that someone might take it seriously and would be blamed for Nancy Pelosi's husband getting hit with a hammer.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's because we made a joke about the Trix rabbit? Fine.
Okay.
So let me just recap this for you really quickly. Democrats, they hate gerrymandering when they're out of power only, because they gerrymander all the time when they're in power. This election cycle, gerrymandering incredibly, to the tune that is almost unfathomable, benefited Democrats. Democrats lost the popular vote by over 3.5 million votes, somewhere around there. And Democrats, of course, will use this as an excuse to try and kill the filibuster. And we haven't even broached the topic of the census yet, which, by the way, may play the biggest part in all of this if you don't know about it. We would discuss it more, but we can't. We're over time. We have to go to Mug Club. Please share the show, like it, leave a comment below. Especially, actually, I would love to know what's happened in your district. This is the beauty of having this huge sample size of people answering questions. Was your district changed? How was it changed? Did it benefit you? Do you think that it's honest? We're going to get to the census. YouTube, thank you very much. I do like this one part, though, because it was thank you, Rumble.
Yeah, it was.
But this feels good.
Much better.
I get to say, hold on, let me savor this.
Yeah.
YouTube. It's so important. Do you want to do it, Dave? Because I feel like I'm selfish if I take it, because it's a highlight.
I feel like it's a big day for you, though.
Take it.
Can I take it?
You can take it.
Oh, thank you, guys. You guys, that's why you're here. You're good friends. YouTube piss off.
Yeah!